Michael. I'm the fellow for the 2018 spring academic year. I just want to say thank you for coming to the Research Brown Bag Special. Before we get started, if anybody has any kids, we do have a little coloring station in the back. For the future, if you want to bring kids as well, we'll have that for every Brown Bag Special. Today's topic is going to be over going global, the experience of presenting nursing research at the Theta International Research Congress, and that was done in 2017. Brenda Kenning, who is a nurse manager at Covenant, is going to be the introductory speaker, and so if you have any questions, she'll be the one to ask.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, thank you all for coming. We have just such a nice panel here to talk about their experiences in Dublin, Ireland. We have Dr. Long, Dr. Roney, Ann Morris, Martina Mendoza, Elaine Emery, Dr. Ford, and Dr.
Wilkinson.
Okay, Dr. Wilkinson. I know it's Dr. Harrison's brother-in-law, but that's the main thing I know. So sorry, I had your name up there just a little bit ago. So we have some slides that are going to be scrolling through as the speakers speak. So why don't we just start with Dr. Long and let Dr. Long tell us what was one of her favorite experiences or memories from this journey they took to Ireland.
Well, my favorite experience at every research congress is getting to bring students and getting to see them succeed and have the experience of experiencing nursing research globally, but then to have an experience that they've never had before, and it helps to shape the way they see themselves and the possibility of contributing not only locally but nationally and internationally.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Long. And you can just pass this on to Dr. Roney, and she can tell us one of her favorite takeaways, something she learned.
Oh my goodness, there's so many good takeaways. I don't feel like this is working.
It's not a microphone, it's recording.
Oh, okay, thanks, buddy. No wonder it doesn't feel like it's working. I'll talk louder for you guys. My favorite takeaways were really, other than the relationships and the friendships that we made amongst the colleagues that were there to learn together, were the different sessions and the amount of applicable information that I could learn and bring home to West Texas and share.
Where do you start? It's so hard. It was my first international conference, and the communication among the colleagues was phenomenal. I would sit there and I'd think, I'm sitting here with all these people who have doctorates, and they are so much more knowledgeable than I am, but they wanted to share that knowledge. And that was just awesome to me, that there were no barriers, there were no bridges, no walls. We were just nurse to nurse talking, and that was phenomenal to me. The relationships that were formed with fellow students and the professors from LCU, it was a wonderful time of fellowship and getting to know each other. And then you would go to conference and you would have that same experience with other nurses from all over the world. And it was just so phenomenal and mind-blowing. The knowledge that was there in one area was just very humbling to me.
Well, my takeaway was just like everybody says, it was just the getting to know each and every one of the group that went to Ireland. We all became a family, and we all took care of each other. We watched out for each other. We also would say, well, you need to come and see this poster. It's pretty cool. When you get to the conference, it's mind-boggling. There's so many people from so many different countries, and you listen to them, and they're talking in their native tongue, and so are we. So it's you kind of wonder, what are they talking about? But then you go and ask them, and they're more than happy to share their knowledge. Everybody's there with the same goal, to make nursing better, to find a way to practice our nursing care at the bedside with evidence-based practice. Everybody wants to make a change, and it was wonderful to see the classes itself, so much knowledge. My mind was overwhelmed with everything that they had to teach. It was just mind-boggling, and I enjoyed every minute of it. My husband was overwhelmed. He got to go for the first time, and he would just look around everywhere, and he was like, "How do you manage?" I said, "Well, we do. We love nursing, and everybody there, you could see everybody loved nursing, and that was wonderful to see."
Well, I ditto everything that everyone else has said. Martina and I worked on a poster together. This was our second time to present internationally, and first time was the year before in Cape Town, South Africa. So I think that trip was more, a little bit more intimidating, going to Sigma Theta to present, but this time really wasn't. It was very relaxing, and I felt more at ease. And what is so neat is that when you can present on something that you are so passionate about, as a nurse, as a leader, as a researcher, and then to come and share that, something that really truly impacts patient care. And you know, we all have that commonality. No matter what country you're from, we all share that same commonality. And we're also different, but yet we're also alike. And I had the opportunity to take my grandson, who's 11. It's a great age to travel with, and so we had a wonderful time, the two of us, and all his people, his buds that he buddied up with, and Dr. Jesse and Martina's husband and Dr. Ford's husband, and so they all had a great time hanging out together and learning about the culture. So if you ever get a chance to travel and go somewhere you've never been, and you also want a plan to do a research presentation, this is a way to go. I would encourage anyone to do it.
I think what I would say is, you see in the photos, some of our students took pictures with the president of the international organization Sigma Theta Tau. What you find when you go to conference is the leaders of the organization walk around, and they are so down to earth, and they want to talk to you and find out what are your interests. Trissy and Amy are there at the back of the room, and in the photos, they're with the immediate past two presidents, Dr. Suzanne Prevost, and you'll see Kathy Cat Trombone, right there she is. She is the current, well, she just went out. They just, in biennium, she just is the immediate past president. But they walk around and they want to talk to all of the participants that are there. They're so friendly. And it's not like that they're the president of our organization and they're out there and they're untouchable. They're right there and they want to talk to you, don't they, Trissy and Amy? And so that is a wonderful thing about going to a Sigma event. They have Research Congress every summer, and then every other fall is biennium. And we were able to go to biennium in November, and it was the same thing. You saw the leadership of Sigma Theta Tau walking around, talking to the participants, and taking pictures with them. The other thing I want to share is that, like Martina, it was my husband's first time to go internationally. Y'all, he probably took 600 pictures on his phone. We were on the bus and he was taking pictures of the cows and the tractors. When we got home, he had that his data was overloaded, so we had to download those pictures. But you'll see, I didn't want to hog the pictures, but you'll see one picture here that there's three of us at really beautiful sites in Ireland, and he had a blast. And then he got to bum around with Dr. Jesse and with Martina's husband and with Kyler in the day, and they just had, and Ann's daughter also, she's here. And so they would go around and do things around Dublin while we were in the convention. So it was just a great place to go and a great experience of scholarship, of our students presenting, and also for seeing some of the country.
Everyone else said I also ditto that. It was my first time to go to an international conference, and it was, some of the things that were really cool to me was it was an international conference. And it really helps you change how you think when you look around and you see there's this whole group from Taiwan, there's these people from over here and over there, and I think sometimes we in America are very ethnocentric, that we think we're the only ones that know anything or do anything or we're the best about everything. And then you're there internationally and you see there are people all over the world who are smart and doing all kinds of stuff, and you get to have that opportunity to learn and see all of what's going on internationally. So you go to class and this is being taught by somebody from South Africa, and this class being taught by someone from England, and some of the things that we have as problems in our nursing, they don't have because they don't do it that way. They solved that a long time ago or something, like RN to BSN and associate degree and diploma and all that. A lot of that stuff doesn't exist other places, and because they're maybe ahead of us in some ways. So I thought that was really exciting. It was also really encouraging for me because I received a scholarship from Sigma to attend the conference. And so I got to go to a tea, which I'm not even sure what that was. And it was somewhere between golf and lunch was my only thinkings what tea was. But I got to go to the tea and meet all of the officers and shake hands with them and talk with them, and they were it was so cool that they said, "So what did you do your research on?" And when I told them what I did, they go, "Oh, that is so interesting. And what about this? And what about this?" And I really thought, do they really care? But then later on, I'm standing there by my poster, and I did my master's presentation in San Antonio, and I had my poster there, and it was like the crickets the whole time I'm out there during the poster presentation time because nobody came by. And I took a lot of funny selfies, but other than that, nothing really happened. But at Sigma, you were swarmed by people coming by over and over again and talking to you and asking, and then you got to go around and see, wow, I took pictures of a lot of the posters, and it's cool that there's a repository that I could go back and look up everybody that presented their posters in this repository. And so I already have gone back and looked at, because there's some things I saw from my classes in community health. There were a couple of posters on homelessness, I think I put them in there, that's the kind of stuff I teach, and so that's the stuff that I was interested in seeing. That was really cool. And so going into the classes, listening to people from all over the world, getting to get there and fellowship with everybody and seeing that nursing is a community worldwide, and everyone's working on the same things. It was a great thing, and it was also happens to be our 40th wedding anniversary during that time, so my wife got to go with us, and then we backpacked over Europe. Now we were a little different that we stayed in an authentic Irish hotel that was above an Irish bar and called O'Shea's. So we got to listen to Irish music every night, and it was really, really cool. And we went and backpacked all over Europe. So we had an amazing trip alongside the getting to go to Sigma. My favorite thing in Dublin was going to Trinity College and seeing the Book of Kells. That was my absolute favorite thing, because that's a 4th century copy of the New Testament. Is that correct, Dr. Long? I think that's correct. 4th century copy of the New Testament. And that just, or the Book of Mark or something. It was just blew me away to actually get to see that. And that was my favorite thing.
Well, that was some wonderful experiences that y'all have given to our audience. And something else we might do now is tell some of our audience is probably quite a bit of students, I suspect. And possibly our panel could tell how would a student go about presenting. And you don't have to be a student, because some of the posters were, I know for sure, Elaine's and Dr. Long and Elaine and Martina and not Dr. Long, but Dr. Roney. Their presentations that they took to Sigma were from some research they did in their workplace. So you can spawn off of some research in your workplace or as a student or both. So if someone would like to volunteer to tell these audience members how they could create something to take and show us research.
I think how I got there was very interesting. I had a cardiac intensive care unit staff nurse come into my office the day before abstracts were due and say, I want to write an abstract so we can go to Ireland about the work we're doing in CCU. And I was not a part of that work. It was a quality improvement project. I was aware of the work because their nurse manager used that work as her LCU assignment work for one of her courses, but I had never really enmeshed myself in it. And the night before abstracts are due, we're writing an abstract for her to have that opportunity to go to Ireland. And unfortunately, she was not able to go. She's had a huge family crisis, still ongoing, so please keep her in your prayers. But an ongoing family crisis that prevented her from going. And so, although some of the other faculty's names were on that poster, because I think Dr. Ford had been helping them and was working with them on publishing their work, I was able to go represent work that I didn't do because somebody had that passion of wanting to share what they did to other nurses around the world. And so it was quite an interesting first time that had ever happened to me. But one of my suggestions is reach out. Even after you graduate, there's no one up here that would not sit down with you and help you. I know these alumni who presented, Dr. Long helped with. I know other alumni Dr. Ford helped with. Dr. Wilkerson or myself will help you. So just come to any of us at any time, and if you have something and need advice or direction, by all means we can help you. So don't feel like you have to do it alone or it's overwhelming, but be proud of what you do, and any work you do, let us help you share it.
Thank you, Dr. Roney. I just add that the Research Congress has expanded so that there are sections that are evidence-based practice. There are also sections that permit quality improvement projects. And so what Dr. Roney was speaking of was a quality improvement project that had actually been going on for at least 6 months. And several of us had helped those nurses with their data and with that project, and then it just occurred to them, well, let's go ahead and present it. So sometimes it's easy to think, oh, but I'm not doing nursing research, or I'm not a nurse researcher, but the conference is broad enough that you can very well present a hospital-based project, and if you're in the program here, if you're in the graduate program, you're going to be learning to do an integrative research review. And that is research about research, and that form of research is accepted at Research Congress.
Great. That's wonderful. Oh, Ann wants to say something.
I believe I was the only student that was presenting internationally, so I'm going to give you my perspective on that. Took a research class as an elective in my bachelor's. Don't talk to Dr. Long. She will get her hooks into you. Then I took another research class that was required in the master's, and because of my daughter's involvement with Plexus, I had started taking probiotics. And I kept hearing all these different things that the company was saying. And so what I did was an integrative research. I wanted to know really the benefits of taking probiotics on irritable bowel syndrome. And that's what I did my research on, and it was a literature review. And that's what I presented my poster on. And what was really interesting was Dr. Long pinned me to the wall and said, you really need to do this, you really need to do this. So I thought, okay. And then after I agreed to do that, we did an abstract and we did a poster for LCU, but then we had to do an abstract differently for Sigma, and my poster for Sigma was different than the poster I did for LCU, so it was like double exposure and a different learning experience. And then I was selected as a rising star of research. And there's a select group of students, I should maybe say first-time presenters, that are nominated into that and then elected into that position. So our posters were in a different location there in the poster room. But it was very enlightening to see the difference that was required for my abstract to do my poster here, and then the things that Sigma asked for on that abstract. So I had to rework it, even though I used the same information. It was a different process. I could not just pull an abstract that I had used here at school and just submit it. I still had to do that work for that presentation. And needless to say, it was very rewarding to experience that different requirements, because it made me look at the same information differently, because there's not just one way that you do things. And when you see the posters from other people from other countries, you see their ideas and what they've researched, then you get to realize that they look at things differently too.
Okay, so has this made some of the other panel, do you have some other thoughts you'd like to share with the audience?
One thing that I just want to chime in on is that if you, like after you graduate and you become, of course you'll be an alumni, but we have an alumni association, and you can certainly fill out the application for help with travel if you decide you want to present. And so we've been able to send, I don't even know how many, 20, 30 people over the last 7 years, and with a good bit of money usually to help cover travel expenses, especially airfare. When you think, oh my goodness, this is going to be very costly. But when you apply and you receive whatever we're able to provide, depending on how many people go, along with a scholarship from Sigma, it makes it a lot more doable. And then we work for Covenant, and then Covenant covered our registration for Sigma. So that makes it a whole lot more affordable for you. And so don't ever think, oh my goodness, I can't afford it, because you can. You can afford it. It's very worth it to be able to go and present. And as far as what would you present, I would think whatever you find passionate about, something that you really want to dive into and learn more about and be able to, that may impact policy where you work, because different things have impacted policy since we've started doing more research and Research Council. But anyway, there's a purpose to why we do this, and really to disseminate knowledge. And you'd be amazed at how many people go to the repository and read your poster. It might be something that they are interested in, and then you may get a phone call saying, hey, I would like to learn more about where you got your information, or ask more questions, or what have you. So anybody else have anything?
Elaine, you triggered my thinking. Not that my brain ever stops, like y'all's doesn't either, but I would say too, even if you have information you want to share and you have hardships that you can't go because you have young kids or other obligations, when you work with this wonderful group of faculty, they can help you disseminate your work and present it for you. So don't let anything limit you, is what I'm saying. Even if you can't physically attend, a representative can stand by your work and talk to it. And so, not that I'm saying don't go, but obviously the way that we want to work in nursing is we want to share our good findings and our good work and influence care around the world. And you can't do that if you don't disseminate it or share it. And so the final D in anything we do in that word research or EBP or QI is disseminate, because we can't change the world until we tell others what we've done. Let me get that to you.
Dr. Roney, I'm so glad you said that, because I don't want all the audience to think that to do research you have to go to Ireland. You can be involved in research at your facility, and the people that went to Ireland were just a small amount of the people that were actually represented in the work that was done to get the posters ready and to get the presentations, to the final destination of Ireland, or wherever it's going to be next time. Where did you say it's going to be? Melbourne, Australia. So, okay, well, that is really great. If the panel doesn't have anything else to say, would we have anyone from the audience that would like to ask the panel questions? Maybe the ladies that went had something they would want to say. Any questions?
Yeah, also, for me, I have gone to NTI multiple times, and it's a lot different from that, that you do feel intimidated by the people that are there, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is a room of knowledge, and you don't know what to ask, you don't know how to approach them, but everybody's so welcoming, and they're so ecstatic that you are wanting to know what they were presenting. And so it's very, very welcoming there. It's some of the things are a little over the top, like there's things that I didn't know because I hadn't taken research yet. So they, like in their presentations, they would go over like the things they use to figure out their equations and all these things, and you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But at the end, they kind of go over what their whole research was about, and their perspectives and what they want to continue, and they are very welcoming for you to, give them ideas and things that they can pursue in their further research for what they're doing. So it was just a really good eye-opener for me to go and see a different perspective of nursing research that was out there.
Thank you, Viviana, and I think we should fully expect to see you at a future endeavor, because I can tell you're going to be a great nursing leader. If you've been to NTI, that tells me that.
I think what going to Ireland did for me the most was just the exposure to the professionalism. You are somewhat, as far as for myself, you don't know that you don't know. And so when you get there and you realize there's this whole other world of that elevates your profession, and you have the sense that you want to be a part of what makes your profession the best that it can be, I think that is a really motivating feeling. And you see what others have accomplished and you think, my goodness, I want to, in my small way, I want to try to accomplish as much as I can. So the exposure, I can't express just the exposure of being there, what that does for you.
That's really great. And here we have some more input here.
And I guess I can ditto what she said with the addition of, it was very enlightening to see that all over the world, not just locally in the States, the amount of work that goes into the evidence-based practice, and how that we are all kind of on the same track, and we kind of give and take from each other to come together to a conclusion.
Great. That's wonderful. We have so many bright faces and great nursing leaders and great future nursing leaders. So is there anyone else that would like, I think that we did have another comment here, question.
I'm not a student at LCU. I'm Ann's daughter, and I got to go. And one thing that really made an impression on me is the atmosphere of family that these people have, that LCU has. And you guys have something awesome here, and it made me want to be a part of it. So if you can go, there's a lot of help that you can get on these trips financially, but make it a priority to do it, because the experiences that you will get going to a foreign country are something that you can't even imagine. It was really a blessing to be able to go, and I'm really glad that I went.
Thank Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Anyone else? Okay, Elaine.
I just want to say kudos. I don't know if the rest of you all know, but Anne and Dr. Long published last month. Was it the Journal of American Nurses? And it was on Anne's, probiotics.
Probiotics and acute upper respiratory tract infection.
Yeah. So if you didn't know and you want to look it up, look it up. You can find the article online. So we've got 2 published people recently, and so I just say yahoo to you. That's wonderful. We're proud of you. Very proud.
It's really easy I think it's easy to feel intimidated by nursing research. And it's easy to think, oh, that's something that these guys do, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of easy to sit there and think, well, that's something that somebody else does. But I just want to encourage everyone that's here, our lead line for our quality improvement plan at Lubbock Christian University is pursue. So pursue what you're interested in, persist. In other words, hang in there. Don't just give up because you don't know everything. And the last word is grow. And we're a place we're interested in people and helping people pursue their dreams, persist to find them, and to grow in the process. And that's why you're here, and that's why we're here. And that's why we take students to Research Congress and to other places. We'll have some going to many other places because we want to help you reach your goals. And as the panel has said, and as our audience has said, part of that is opening yourself to new quality experiences. Yes, it's some work, but I don't think anybody would say they regret working hard to get there. Or anyone would say, actually, things happened that you didn't expect. Anne didn't expect that she'd be a rising star in scholarship internationally. She didn't expect that she'd have a column that would come out of that work. And I couldn't have planned it. But we took advantage of it, didn't we, Anne? When the opportunity came, we snatched it and said, let's try it and see what happens. And so all of us want to encourage you. You know, we are not a research-based institution, but we're an institution that does research and does evidence-based practice and does quality improvement because that's what you do to improve your discipline. And that's what we want all of our students to think about. Let's embrace it and embrace every opportunity so that I can contribute fully in my discipline. So I'm so thankful for the panel, so thankful for my colleagues, and just the very last thing I want to say, this is a grassroots thing that gets students there. We just have a big coattail of graduates who really just lovingly give up a couple of cups of coffee a month, and it goes into a kitty so that when somebody gets something accepted, we can help them get there. And others that have been more blessed do a little bit more, but really it's completely grassroots. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just all of us together say, we're going to get our students there, whatever it takes. If they want to do it, they're willing to do the work, we're going to get them there. And that's how it's all happened, hasn't it? Very much grassroots. So anybody in the panel want to say anything else? Let's wrap it up.
I just want to say thank you to LCU and to Dr. Long. The wealth of knowledge that Dr. Long and Dr. Ford have shared with me during my research time was what spurred me and gave me the encouragement to pursue the avenues that I did. Call on them, visit them, let them help you because they are there and they are more than willing to help over and over and over. But without LCU and Dr. Long, Dr. Ford, Sigma, and Covenant, I would not have been able to go to Ireland. And I am so appreciative for the opportunity that they afforded me and for the knowledge that I received while I was there. It was such a learning experience. If you have the opportunity, pursue and go.
And I would just like to add, there are 3 people in the audience who presented in other locations. So we are just the ones that went to Ireland, but there are many other others in this room and group, including our wonderful facilitator over there that went to Cape Town and presented last year, Mr. Rogers, and I think Bev is in the back somewhere.
Paula Ganaway,
Paul-
our research
so-
librarian, she was actually here, but is not here today.
So just so many of us. And so, again, I guess thank you for letting us represent global health learning today. But you guys have so many resources, and so, again, just use them, enjoy them. Anybody else?
Okay. Great. My name's Brenda Kenning. I just have an invited response to give. So it's not extremely long, so just hang in there while I tell you a little bit more. So it was so wonderful hearing all of you speak about your journey to Ireland, and thank you for asking me to give the invited response today. Like Dr. Roney had mentioned, I had presented some nursing research while I was getting my master's degree. At LCU, I presented a poster at Sigma Theta Tau, the 27th Annual Nursing Research Congress in Cape Town, South Africa. That was in July of 2016. And it was such a fantastic experience to be involved in the research and then to ultimately present the research. It's something I likely would have never done without the guidance and encouragement of Dr. Slong and Dr. Ford. So as I was contemplating my response to the presentation today, I began to think, well, why is this even important? Is it just to go to Ireland or to Cape Town? I don't think so. I think it's more than that. Because we can just go on a trip if we want to go on a trip, but the nursing research is more important. So I want to share with you some thoughts on why it's important to participate in nursing research and why it's important to present nursing research. So participating in nursing research elevates you as a clinician. It's possible to get bogged down in the minutia of a daily job, even when we have exciting and stimulating jobs in the nursing field. So if we do get bogged down and just go show up at our job and just do our daily tasks, then we become technicians. So we should want to be part of the change in bettering our profession and bettering our practices. If we aren't involved in research, then other entities, such as physicians or product companies, will begin to impose on us what they think is best for nursing practice and patient care versus nurses, the ones who know what's best for patient care. Our own selves and our colleagues need to be driving what's best for patient care. So if we are only doing tasks without critically evaluating our processes for change and processes for improvement, then we become technicians, like I said, and then if we're just going to be technicians, then the hospital can hire some technicians at a lower salary than us to do our job. So we don't want to fall into a practice pattern where we're acting as technical persons and not professional persons. So we want to strive to do more and be more for our profession and for our patients. So why then is it important to present your nursing research? Like doing the research, presenting nursing research also elevates you in the profession of nursing. You become aware of issues that other nurses are facing. You find out that we face many of the same issues and problems that are encountered in countries all over the world. I know I found that when we went to Cape Town, South Africa, that we are all facing some of the very same problems daily. And then, as Dr. Wilkinson said, you might also find that they're ahead of us and have some better practices. But you do find out that you have more in common than you have differences. Presenting research allows you to further your findings, share them with colleagues, engage in discussion, gather more input, network with colleagues, engage in discussion, gain expert knowledge on many topics. And you get a renewed motivation to come back and do a great job at what your profession is and what your job is. So I encourage you to all become involved in research in your work setting. When I was at Cape Town, the majority of attendees there were educators, some administrators, and a few bedside nurses. But I think it would be so wonderful to have more nurses that work in the clinical setting involved in research, preparing posters or podium presentations, and traveling to the Research Congress and other type gatherings if they're able to. So I can just envision how wonderful our clinical setting would be in the future if we had more clinicians excited about research and involved in research. So thank you so much for allowing me to share these thoughts with you on why we should do nursing research and present it.
Any last comments, Dr. Long, sir? You went. Do you have any comments as our dean who attended?
It was a wonderful experience. It's always fun to be with nurses. always fun. Feel much safer when I'm abroad.
I will say we usually have an administrator that goes with us, travels with us, and it's usually that man right there. So. Is it anything else? Thank you to our panel and to our invited response. That was a beautiful invited response. How many in here, just out of, raise your hand if you think you'd like to have this sort of experience, would like to plan that into your career development? Don't be shy. Yeah. A third of you. Okay, okay. Okay, that's fantastic. Good for you.
Once you do it,
one more time.
once you get involved in research, then you start looking around for other things you could be involved in. I've heard Dr. Ford say that too. Like, you're like, what's my next project I can research and present on? So.
I've got one quick thing I will say. We have Research Council at Covenant, and so I chair Policy Council as far as general nursing med-surg, and we, just to let you know what we've been able to change through research has been, an example recently was, you know how we usually in adult daycare, maybe that's where I should be, adult practice, we would change, white hair, I think, maybe that's where I should be. Anyway, we would change out IVs every, used to be 96 hours. Well, who knows where that came up with? I have no idea. Maybe somebody else researched it years ago, and that's what the standards were back then. But we had 3 nurses from one floor, our renal telemetry floor, or renal floor, that took that on, and they searched the highest levels of literature out there, and were able to come back. It was an integrated review, did a fantastic job, and that changed our practice. We went from changing every 96 hours to PRN as necessary, only as needed. And so that saves time, it saves money, it increases your patient satisfaction scores tremendously. So there was lots of benefit to doing that. And so those are the kinds of things that drive practice.
Can I just add to that?
Sure.
Sorry. You trigger me every time, don't you? So what I spent my day today doing was working with the LCU Research Librarian, Miss Paula, because we had a burning clinical question that arose today at Covenant in the neonatal intensive care, which is not my expertise, by the way, about the use of burettes. And so and about how often we should change that tubing. And so Miss Paula was kind enough to give me some of her time this afternoon as I was struggling to find anything in the evidence to help. And she did find a very applicable Cochrane review to guide our answer to our question. But every day you have those questions, and just really look at where you go to find those answers. Because I tell you, what we did today, and I probably spent 3 hours doing it, I found all I could find in the literature. I reached out to experts for their opinion, and that will drive a change in our organization, and that kind of stuff will drive a change in yours. And again, who did I reach out to but my friend that went to Ireland with me that rode the bus next to me, my new favorite research librarian, Paula. We do have a librarian at Covenant, but I did go to Paula this time. So again, just really reach out and connect. And when you have those questions, don't ask your friend, ask the literature.
And don't ask the product people because they're going to tell you
They're
to
gonna
change
lie.
it. Yeah.
At every research congress and at biennium, the editors for the journals of Sigma Theta Tau, Susan Granero is the editor for the Journal of Nursing Scholarship, and Dr. Bernadette Melnick is the editor for, now I'm going to blank on it just a minute, Worldviews. They're both the editors, and they always hold a session on how to become published. And I'm not sure if it was Jamie or Ann, whoever said, after you complete your research, and we talked about them being published, you need to publish what you've done and get that word out there. Even if it didn't work perfectly, other people need to know what you did and how we can improve on that. So I wanted to do just a little plug for the next brown bag. I've been working with two of the Covenant faculty that, and one of the Covenant Hospital employees, Rita Crasta, and we put a manuscript together, and we got feedback. They sent it back to us with 3 reviewers' suggestions of how we needed to tweak our article. And we have been working to revise that. And so next brown bag, Rita and Jeanette and I will talk about the steps to getting published and share a little bit of our personal experience of putting our manuscript together. So that hopefully you'll have that, a little bit of that in your knowledge base. Don't be afraid about it and just go for it and try it. Yeah, we got it back and they had some suggestions, but we've fixed it and we're going to resubmit it, and we hope it'll be published this time.
And I think after that, they wanted to be the feature article in the AJN. Let me just throw that in. Congratulations, Dr. Ford.
We want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank Brenda for giving the invited response and facilitating the panel, our panelists today, and thank you to each one of you. I hope that you see that our job here is to invest in you, and that's what we're here for. And so we invite you to take a chance on your work and make the most of your time here. Don't you waste your time here. Make the very most of it. So thank you so much for joining us today, and please give a hand to the panel.